That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and it is Fantasy Football Expo Week. We are super excited. We're all going to be in Canton, Ohio this coming up Friday. It should be a good time. Tonight, though, we are going to be talking about our best balls for sure. Let's put those forward. It's time for TSS Fantasy.
Yeah! It worked for The Rock and it's going to work for me.
And you just got slandered.
That's what it is! This court is adjourned.
It is Commissioner Cooper.
Welcome to Sophistication Station.
I'm here to save your fantasy rosters.
And it's time for TSS Fantasy. It's time indeed. Like I said, it is Expo Week. We are all jacked up here tonight. Let's get it started. Welcome to the studio, Jordan the Judge Thomas. Welcome in, my friend.
What is up, fellas? I'm so excited. I get to meet both of you guys live and in person in just like a couple of days. And I don't get to meet Justin, but I at least get to meet you. I get to meet Flanders. I get to meet Jester. I did get the news you won't be there. So bummer.
All good. But listen, you get the commish, you get the Jester. That's what you're getting for sure. But welcome in, Justin Jesus Herrero. Welcome to the studio, friend.
Yeah, it's a sad day that I had to find out that I couldn't go. But I brought a little bit of Canton to myself, to my screen back here. So I'm a happy man regardless. It's TSS time. Let's go, baby.
He's a Canton kind of guy. All right, Justin, you're in my Hall of Fame. Don't worry. All right, welcome in, Nick. You got Flandered Macaronis. Welcome into the studio, sir.
Hey, coming from you from hot and sweaty Florida. I hope it's better off in your part of the country. Holy crap!
I got a tornado watch in my part of the country. So I don't know about that.
Oh boy,
it's so humid. I brought my computer out here and it instantly fogged up. I had to sit here and get a rat. I mean, it's ridiculously humid outside. And then, of course, I got this jacket on like a smart guy. All right, well, don't forget, go to tssfantasy.com. Look at all of our latest and greatest rankings. It is draft season and redraft season, so make sure you go check all of our greatest and latest and greatest rankings out. Also, don't forget to visit our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code TSS. And I'm just going to warn you, if you set up a draft, you better be ready to go, because once it starts, you ain't stopping. All right, let's also, don't forget, go to Jazz Sportsbook. Use the promo code TSS there. We got lots of great promos also there. And also go to Pro Am Belts, looking for some championship bling for your fantasy champion. Look no further than Pro Am Belts. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, or hit the notification, hit a like, hit a comment. Little things stopping you from doing it, but big things popping for us when you do. So we do appreciate you. All right, fellas, we don't have a whole lot, but let's start with a little bit of news.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
We're going to do it live indeed. All right, we're just going to go over a couple key points. We do have our best ball draft about to start, and we got got some guests waiting in the back, so we're going to get to pull them in a second. Let's just go on to a couple things. Kareem Hunt visiting the Saints. I don't know how much of a big impact that has. We know that Alvin Kamara is going to be out at least 3 games. So if he does sign, obviously that makes him pretty hot to go to start in New Orleans, maybe above Jamal Williams. We shall see. I think they're pretty solid already with him as they're started, to be quite frank. But we'll quickly go around the room. Anyone hot on Kareem Hunt visiting the Saints? Sorry, is this something you looking to grab if he signs there? Jordan, we'll start with you.
Nah.
That's why I said we don't got much to talk about tonight. Justin, anything else on that one?
I mean, this totally destroys every Keandre Miller truther because
All of them.
I mean, come on now. They said Eno Benjamin tore his ACL. We have to go get Kareem Hunt. Nah, that means the rookie's just not that good. Sorry to say that, guys, but TCU didn't really play anybody, so maybe that's why.
Ooh, a little smack in the mouth. All right, Nick, what say you?
Yeah, he could provide some intrigue for late round flyer because of the fact that Kamara is out for 3 games. So he might get you that early season pop. But then again, if Kamara comes back and he's not the Kamara that we're used to seeing, he could steal a lot of carries and especially some catches. So I think he's worth a shot, especially when you get down your draft and you're like, who's left? So
Yeah,
I think he's worth a shot.
he's definitely worth the shot in best ball, as we'll talk about here shortly. Rashid Shaheed and Traquan Smith both went out with groin injuries, so just something to take note of. Don't know how serious that is. We're going to have Doc in, we're going to have Brian Scott in on Friday with his injury recap, so we'll find out what's going on with that injury. Also in injury news, Devon Etienne, Dolphins rookie running back, also an undisclosed lower leg, foot injury, leg injury. We don't know what it is because they're not telling us, so we'll look a little bit more in depth into that one as well. News out of Las Vegas is Josh Jacobs talking about maybe rescinding the franchise tag, letting him become a free agent. Of course, the Broncos, the Chiefs, everybody and their mama stepping up, wanting Josh Jacobs if that becomes the case. However, I think it's just more posturing on both sides, to be quite honest with you guys. What are you going to say,
Do
Justin?
it. Fucking do it. Rescind it. Fucking do it already.
Oh, come on.
Fuck it. We'll go live. We'll do it live. Rescind it live.
And then it's Zamir White season, maybe, and who knows? And Las Vegas. James Cook apparently looking good in camp. So just to give you a big heads up on that one, apparently maybe looking to use him as a whole 3-down back. Maybe that's the word off the street. Chase Edmonds looking to be the 3rd down back in Tampa Bay. So a lot of talk is Rachaad White, is he or isn't he? But if he's not going to be a 3-down back, what value really does Rachaad White give you? Not really a lot for me. Cardinals add Marlon Mack and the Colts add Kenyon Drake. That's pretty much it. Like I said, it's been a quiet NFL little offseason. Nick, you had something?
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater just got a job.
Oh, where did he sign?
Detroit.
Okay, so Teddy Bridgewater makes a landing somewhere. So there we go. Like I said, this offseason's been a little different than last year. I felt like every week there was something popping off, and it's been a little quiet, which is, hey, it's a good thing going into the season. Let's all get healthy and play some football. All right, well, we got best ball strategy to talk about, and we got some guests to talk about it with. Let's bring them in.
Well, we can't salute you, can't find the flag. If that don't suit you,
all right, I'll turn that off quick for copyright purposes. Let's welcome in Kevin Tompkins. Welcome into the studio, sir.
What's going on, gang? We got some little best ball action here. I've reached in my 50 Pomeranian 2 slows. We've reached the point of critical mass, round 13 through 18 in all of them. So I can only draft Chuba Hubbard so many times, guys. So it'd be nice to draft some guys at the top this time.
Absolutely heard that. Absolutely. All right, let's welcome in Meg. Meg, welcome into the studio.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you guys so much for having me. I love talking basketball any opportunity I can. So happy to be here.
Well, tonight is the night for sure. Chris from the Effin Show, and of course, the weekly throwdown right here on FSC. Welcome into the studio, my friend.
Hey, what's going on? Ready to do some best ball. Ready for this expo to kick off. It's going to be an awesome week. Hope to see you guys there. It's just going to be a good time, and I'm waiting for it. I'm pumped. This is a good way to get Expo week started off right here.
Absolutely, with a little best ball draft. Davis Ping, welcome into the studio, my friend.
What's up? Thanks for inviting me, guys. So kind of excited and seeing a lot of people I recognize here. That's just good times.
Absolutely. Well, that means good times indeed. You're in good company. No worries on that. All right, guys. Well, again, I've got you guys in here to do specific best ball strategies. So let's talk about them. So when we talk strategy, last week we were doing a little bit of dynasty. Obviously, all these drafts are a tad bit different in the way that you look at these players. Obviously you have your big guy, your big dogs that don't look any different from wherever you go. But there are certain players that you want to look and maybe target in certain drafts. And let's talk about that. Kevin, we'll start with you first. Give me some of your best ball strategies that you like to implement versus like a regular redraft or dynasty.
With best ball, I'm really just chasing the upside. I'm not looking to score, 12 fantasy points per game and try to get median projections. I'm trying to get the most out of my squad, trying to squeeze the most blood I can from the stone. So I've never played it safe in any league, redraft or best ball, but it's more important in best ball to kind of your lineup should tell a story. Your lineup should be able to be cohesive in structure. Not getting too crazy with running backs, not getting too crazy with wide receivers, and ignoring other positions, kind of just being fluid, but also just really being coherent and thinking about the upside of your roster. And I would rather finish last than finish second. I want to be able to finish first and just have total upside. That's what I look for.
Well, if you ain't first, you're last. That's for sure. Meg, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin made a lot of good points. I think the thing I'm trying to focus on the most this year is kind of lineup construction. And to his point, making sure that you're not getting that point of diminishing returns where you went wide receiver heavy and then you're drafting 9 or 10 receivers. And it's like, are those, 8, 9, 10 receivers going to hit the lineup if, you spent so much you invested? So you kind of either have to invest quality or quantity, make sure kind of all the positions are taken care of. And just really focusing on that lineup construction, obviously still focusing on correlation, for playoffs and week 17, but just trying to build the best roster and give myself as many shots into the playoffs as I possibly can.
100%. Chris, what say you?
I think the keyword for me is consistency. So I'm looking for guys that are consistent across the board. Even when you look at the rankings and stuff, you'll see Justin Jefferson up there. Well, that's because, especially in a PPR, he had the most games above 15 points. And so when you're talking about your highest scoring guy, you've got a roster, and it's always not going to be Justin Jefferson. He's also got a couple of games where he was below 5 points. And so you have other people. You have to make sure you supplement for when those bad games happen. But if you're going to draft a star, you're drafting him for the points that he's going to get you. But like Kevin brought up, your roster tells a story, and you've got fill-ins there, and you're not too heavy, but you've got, I love the fact what he said, you take a risk. You're looking for that upside of guys that are still going to have weeks. They don't have to have a week every week. This is best ball, but they can be there to cover for when your other guys aren't.
100%. Love it. I'm trying to find the settings so I can mute our little draft there. Davis, what say you, my friend? Give me a best ball strategy you like to implement.
I just watch camp highlights, and then whatever has the latest highlights, I just start plugging them in. Justin Ross season, Terrence Marshall season, Mac Hollins just plugging.
Isaiah Pacheco blocking season.
Didn't Eric Fritz right now? I'm very stoked about. For me, it's all about drafting who I think is going to be just the best players, right? Like, I believe if someone's the best, they're going to be the best the entire time. If you've ever seen my exposures, I have like 45% like James Conner. Like, this is kind of how I got the shirt. This is like Arizona Cardinals UD shirt. So like, I'm very into my guys. Therefore, I like to grab ones I think are going to be the best. As Kevin was saying, like, you want the upside. Finding value is huge. I like finding value. I like putting variety in my value plays. So a good example would be like, if I took a lot of James Conner, I'm not just taking him in robust RB teams. I'm taking them in hero RB teams. I'm taking them in zero RB teams. I want all the variety that comes with them. Just kind of finding the value in where can I plug them. How often can I plug this guy in? How can I get different? How can I get unique? Things like that. And then obviously just none of that Jarvis Landry line guys where 9.5 points, no touchdowns. Or like those guys are gross. I avoid them as much as I can. I cannot deal with that. Like replacement level guys, just avoid them. And then just finding value where you can. Like last year's being Tua, someone I pegged really hard was just like, hey, like you're gonna laugh, but like Tua's a guy. Daniel Jones is a guy, a guy that was like quarterback 27. Just finding value and just doing better research in some cases. So I think that's always been the best part of my strategy.
Yeah, the finding the value is always money where it matters. Totally. Justin, give me a strategy you like to implement in best ball.
I mean, I don't know how much more I can add to what these guys said. They've pretty much all nailed it directly on the head. I love what Davis just said with the variety. I love kicking it up with best ball draft because that's where I'll go and I'll grab the George Pickens. That's where I'll grab the Brandon Ayuk. That's where I'll grab all these guys that have a little bit of uncertainty around them. But guess what? When they take off, the sky is literally the ceiling for them. So that's what I usually love to do. And I'll go out and I'll take shots on quarterbacks that I think could have big weeks. Anthony Richardson plays the Texans twice this year. And you've really got to keep an open mind with this because there are a lot of good situations where somebody will bite on a quarterback and leave you somebody like a Travis Kelce in the first round. You go, oh shit, there you go, Travis Kelce, because there's always somebody who's going to over exaggerate the value of Patrick Mahomes in a single QB best ball mania. Go sign up right now. Underdog Fantasy, TSS, promo code. We will match you up to $100. That's my friendly little plug right there.
Good job, Justin. Good job. Way to pay the bills there. All right. Nick, you got something you like to do in best ball that differs from what our panelists have said, or are you frozen in thought?
Oh no, I thought. Sorry, I didn't know if you were talking to me. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to.
I was talking to Nick, actually.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't hear if you said Meg or Nick, and I apologize.
Nick, you got something for your best ball strategy? I think the internet's a little slow there. Jordan, what say you? You got something going on for best ball?
Must be all the humidity.
It's really hard to follow up Flanders there, but honestly, yeah, like Justin said, I feel like it's already been covered really in depth. The one thing I will add is you guys know I'm kind of the resident running back hater. And in best ball, I am much more prone and much more likely to draft running backs early and often because I kind of expect them to have those big blow up weeks. And it doesn't hurt so bad to invest that draft capital when you have wide receivers that'll pop off all season. Every other week it's somebody new. So I am more prone to draft running back heavy in best ball than I am in any other format.
100%. All right. Well, speaking of best ball, listen, I'll just follow one last thing up. I'll say, to kind of couple what Justin said, DeAndre Swift is somebody I would never, ever, ever sniff my lineup ever. But in best ball, bet your bottom dollar, I got no problem taking a risk on him because when he does go off, he's money when it freaking matters for sure. So like Justin said, and Davis said, we've all said it, those take that risk for those guys for best ball that you normally wouldn't take a risk on. Well, again, speaking of best ball and underdog fantasy, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be back with our running back tiers. So we'll be right back.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code TSS to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
That is a good gingerbread. All right, so one thing we got to bring up is our running back tiers. We're going to go through them, and we're going to shout out a couple of guys that we like. Of course, you guys can get in and let me know some of the guys that you like for these running back tiers. Now, these are all from Pro Football Focus, so don't get mad at me. Just look at them. This is the first running back tier that they have for best ball. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Austin Eckler. Now, Nick, last week, I believe you brought us one of my guys was Jalen Hurts, and this week you're going out there on a limb with Christian McCaffrey. So go ahead and tell us about Christian.
Yeah, I feel that this is his year and my opportunity to go and vouch for him, because he's gotten a bad rap that he's injury prone. He can never stay on the field. He averages eight points a game less with Elijah Mitchell within the lineup. But I'll tell you what, if I had the first pick in any draft, I'm going to go after CMC first. Last season, weeks 1 through 4, he was 13th. He averaged 13.2 points per game. However, in weeks 10 through 17, he finished second, and he was second overall with 16.8 points per game. So you can see he starts off a little slow, but once he hits his stride, it's still as Jordan would say, the ceiling is the roof. So I would take him in my draft, and then you have to get that those studs back first, because they're such a hot commodity right now. The wide receivers, they're such a huge trend, but they're much deeper than the running backs are. So that's why I would go running back first.
All right, I like it. Look, we're going to combine these together because they give us 3 names in the other one. So here's our running back tier 2. You got Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, and Breece Hall.
Heyo. There it is.
Good old StreamYard.
Old StreamYard. That's hilarious. Okay. Well, Judge, who was your guy on this one? Was he on this tier or was he on the first tier?
He was on this tier, and y'all are going to pick on me for being a homer here. But
yeah, I knew
listen, best ball wise, how can you go wrong with Tony freaking Pollard, man? That guy last season, RB7 on the season, despite being outside of the top 25 in touches, RB1 in the league from week 7 to 16 last year. He's going to get all the opportunity that he can handle. And Flanders, I hear you, man, the broken freaking leg, but guess what? I can get Malik Davis. I can get whatever Cowboy backup handcuff I think it's going to be if he goes down in the last damn round of this draft. I love the upside of Tony Pollard. Even if he only plays a couple of games, he will be dynamite in every single one of them.
He's money when it matters sometimes. Last year, too, I had him in a few games. So, Meg, let's go to you this time from our guest panelist. Do you have a guy that you like within these first tiers in particular that you really are looking to target in these best ball drafts?
I mean, of course, I like a lot of these guys, but I'm going to point to Nick Chubb as my favorite. He's the guy in best ball right now that was going in round 2. Then now you kind of have to grab him late round 1 if you want him, or if you want to get kind of really overweight on him. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I think there's a very strong likelihood that Nick Chubb could be RB1 this season. We know the talent's there. Now he's got the extra opportunity. Yes, that could be. I know actually Jerome Ford had a slight injury we need to pay attention to, and I'm not sure the status of that. But yes, I know there are other backs in Cleveland, but I still think he might get some of that Kareem Hunt role. Maybe catch a little more passes than he's used to. And also Cleveland was one that had a ton of red zone opportunities last year, but their conversion rate wasn't as high. If those conversion rates or even higher, and he gets, even more touchdowns. I mean, he's got that high value touch, opportunity, and then obviously he's got the explosive play, opportunity. So, the talent opportunity is there for Nick Chubb to be RB1. So I am very in on him.
Meg knows how to transition well because that's exactly who I have as my number one overall running back. And yes, that is exactly why without Kareem Hunt. Now, there is a little concern with Deshaun because last year when Deshaun was in the lineup, he was like 23rd in the league. But of course, that was Deshaun trying to get his feet wet into this offense. So I'm not that concerned, honestly. Like I seen Nick Chubb go up and down that football field, and I used to get so upset because I ended up seeing Kareem Hunt come in and take away his TD or something back in the day. So now I have nothing to worry about. So I'm absolutely all in on Nick Chubb. Chris, let's go to you for this one. What do you like for one of these guys as your my guy?
Man, Chubb is definitely the one I was going to go with as well. He's so fantastic for best ball purposes. He's got such a great schedule for the best ball mentality. I mean, he's going to play Houston. He's going to play Chicago. He's got the Rams, Arizona, Indianapolis. I mean, he's got a nice setup. He's top 10 in RB strength of schedule, if that's something you buy into. Loving Nick Chubb. So since everybody said Chubb, I'll also go ahead and back up with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's he is the offense in Tennessee this year. I mean, there's nothing else going on. They're going to try out some quarterbacks. They got 3 of them to choose from, and it's going to be Henry. Fantastic in the strength of schedule, top 5, I believe. If you buy into that strength of schedule thing, he's always going to be the workhorse, and honestly, he always produces. So aside from the guys that we've already said, I'll throw Derrick Henry in that tied number 2, number 3 spot.
I like it. Davis, what say you, my friend? Give me a my guy out of that tier 1, tier 2 spot.
Let me combine 2 of these really quick and go off of one stat line. So Derrick Henry was the one I was going to go off of, and then Bijan Robinson on the other side. The one thing those 2 guys shared is that, one, if you're a Falcon, you probably face 40 to 50% of your snaps with 8 guys in the box. The only other person that was in that realm was Derrick Henry, right? Like both teams that went run heavy, both teams from the same coaching tree, both teams that, one team has the worst O-line, which is the Titans, and the other team has like a top 5 O-line, which is the Falcons, right? So Bijan is one of those guys, and Derrick Henry it's the entire offense, right? We get to goal line. What, you're gonna put your money on like Tyler Algier? You get to goal line, and you're gonna trust, your backup quarterback or Ryan Tannehill, like throw it to somebody. I feel like they're very underrated right now. You got Derrick Henry in round 3 of best ball right now. It just feels ridiculous to me. He's King Henry. Like, let's be real. But now that they have 2 star receivers going out there, he's not facing 49% in the box or 48. And then now that Bijan's up there with top 5 O-line, if Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier can get 5 yards per carry, like Bijan's you ever see that meme? It's like, we should get a bunch of guys, give them a bunch of steroids, and see what a human can really do. Like, that's Bijan behind this O-line. Like, let's see what a human can really do behind a top 5 O-line with this kind of level of talent. So those 2 guys facing top 8 mans in the box last season, I think it's going to change a lot, and they're still really good players. So sign up for both those guys.
I like it. Kevin, what say you?
As far as like guys in that tier 1, tier 2, I have Tony Pollard in that easily in that tier 1. I have him as my RB2. I have Christian McCaffrey at RB5. I don't see any outcome where he gets anywhere close to 1,000. He's not seeing the snaps and routes like he was in Carolina. There's too many mouths to feed. I don't think he has that kind of upside, so I'm not even touching him in the top 6-7 picks there. But Tony Pollard, if you're looking at rush yards over expected per attempts, Tony Pollard, I believe, was 2nd or 3rd in that. And, as far as like hitting the hole, getting the yards that he's supposed to be getting over expected, Tony Pollard was at 42% success rate. So when you're looking at what Dallas has done, I'm really hoping that they do sign somebody, because it's going to get cheaper Tony Pollard for me, because people are going to just wildly overreact when Tony Pollard has just shown that the talent has always been there. So I'm totally in on the receiving profile, on the rushing profile. I guess Rico Dowdle right now technically is the RB2 as they sort their depth chart. So not worried about what Tony Pollard can do when he gets on the field. And you're probably going to see him get 65-70% of the snaps as constructed with this Dallas roster.
I gotta before Justin, I'm gonna go to you, but I just gotta pull this up real quick because listen, I'm just gonna say it's Justin or no, whatever. It's Mr. Herrera if you're nasty. Look at this Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry on the turnaround right here. Ooh, I like that, sir. Good job. Go ahead and talk about your my guy for this tier, though. God, I'm so jealous right now.
Oh man, that's the perfect turnaround right there at the 12 spot. That's why we live for that 12 spot, you know. But anyways, so my guy's actually Austin Eckler, and I just love where this offense it was going these past couple years, and now it's where it's heading with Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore helped build Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, and they both had great seasons last year. I mean, everybody wants to debate whether Ezekiel Elliott was still worth anything. He still had 12 touchdowns on the rushing end, and now you combine that just strictly with Austin Eckler. I mean, who else is really going to take any touches away from him? Maybe Isaiah Spiller, but I don't think it's going to be meaningful touches. This is a man who continuously works hard for the fantasy community as well as working hard for the football community, and I mean, he just doesn't get enough credit. He is what we want CMC to be year in and year out, and he's really getting in close to that 1,000-yard season that I thought he was going to get a couple years ago. He had 107 receptions last year. That is freaking scary. But yeah, I think that Austin Eckler is still my go-to guy, and Penn Flanders got him from me this year. Oh, also I want to shout out Fred. Auto Draft did the exact same thing Fred would do, and that's get Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes.
That is so true. It's too bad Travis Kelce is off the board because that'd be his next pick for sure.
That's it.
All right,
that's the only thing better.
All right, let's go into the next tier of running backs here. We'll look at tier number 3. This is Ramondre Stevenson territory. Josh Jacobs, which I feel that's kind of, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not, but Najee Harris, Travis Etienne Jr., Joe Mixon, Jamari Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers. So that's the tier 3 round, if you will. Chris, we'll go to you first on this one. Give me somebody you like in that little tier group.
Well, I just drafted Aaron Jones, so I guess I could say I like him. He's probably not the top guy for me in that group. I don't know. For me, it's kind of between. I like the upside. I like the value of Aaron Jones or Ramondre Stevenson. I'll go with Aaron since I drafted him. Sorry about that. I'm going back and forth here, but Aaron's got the rookie quarterback. That's what you're looking at. He's got good output. He gets good looks. He 213 looks, 1121. 213 isn't a lot. Look, you got Saquon Barkley getting 295, Derrick Henry 349 in carries, Chubb 302 in carries. Even Sanders had 259. Of course, he's on a new team now. Kenneth Walker gets more carries, but the thing is he does well with them. Yards before contact, he's sitting at 642. Yards after contact, he's sitting at 479, which is good enough for about 8 or 9, RB 8 or 9. So we're already in the second round. So the top guys, a lot of these top guys are gone. These are numbers I'm kind of looking at for my running backs is the yards after contact, things that they're going to do with the ball once they get it. And I want them to get the ball a lot. So after volume, they need to be able to do something with it. Ramondre Stevenson obviously follows this category, especially where he's at and them having a quarterback situation as well. We're talking running backs. If your quarterback is not the guy, then your running back is going to get a lot of work. And when someone like Aaron Jones can do something with that work, that's something I'm looking for. So that's why I went with them. That's why I mention him.
I gotcha. Davis, what say you on tier 3? You got a guy in there that you like. Well, that's tier 4, my bad.
Sorry, if anyone follows me, it's Najee Harris, man. I'm sorry, it's Najee. This is where I make my money every year. It's on the guys that like people just have like hard disdains for. Last year it was like DK Metcalf and like Tyler Lockett. Najee is one of those guys that got overcorrected. Right, he was a guy in round 1 the last 2 years, round 2, 1-1, 1-2 turn. Now he's on the 3-4 turn, sometimes as bad as the round 5. If you're getting like these really weird leagues, he's just better than people are giving him credit for. Jalen Warren was nice last year, but Jalen Warren was realistically fantasy irrelevant outside of PPR leagues last season. I don't think people really understand how useless Jalen Warren realistically was in like a redraft league. So even in best ball, he was even worse. I call it a tale of two seasons. You got a guy that in the first half coming off the Lindstrom injury, that to top it off, like Lindstrom injuries have taken guys out like Julio Jones for the entire season. And you got Najee playing the toughest role, for the entire season, didn't miss a game. Jalen Warren missed a game, but Najee didn't miss one. So his second half season, he was RB8 for the second half. If you take his week 10 game to week 17, he was RB8 on the season. When he's being drafted like RB 16 or 14 right now, something really, really bad. I know Meg and I share a friend in Felix, so he's gonna be happy when he sees this. So I just don't see why everyone hates him. His O-line got a little bit better. His O-line was really terrible last year. I watched a lot of their plays where their center was like 5 yards out guarding the air. He was like blocking the crap out of the air, and everybody ran past him. So Najee's my guy. He's a touch merchant. He's gonna get 15 to 22 touches a game. Can pass catch. He just has to go up the middle. He plods his way into the end zone. He falls forward. Like, that's what coaches like. That's what we like when we get to goal line. Does he fall forward? And Najee does. So, easily a 270 touch person plus guy with like 8 to 12 touchdown upside. You're getting him around 4. nothing beats that.
Can't beat it at all. Kevin, give me my guy in tier 3.
Yeah, for me, it's Ramondre Stevenson. The price is right for him. Looking at what he did last year, you can kind of make the prevailing narrative that, well, they didn't really have anybody else because Ty Montgomery went out after week 1. They were kind of rotating guys between Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris. But, they ended up signing James Robinson and ended up cutting him because, of his lack of like explosiveness after his Achilles. Now, they're bringing in Leonard Fournette. Mac Jones is having same side of the booth dinners with Mac Jones. Mac Jones and Zeke Elliott, I should say. So right now, as constructed, like Ramondre Stevenson, I think this can lightning can strike twice with Ramondre. So I'm totally in on him this year at price because I do believe that when you get in that 2-3 turn, and if there's going to be guys that are falling, obviously Jacobs is falling with the holdout risk, and now obviously if they rescind the franchise tag, comes a free agent, then we kind of get some of that ambiguity there. Jonathan Taylor, obviously some ambiguity there. With people getting wide receiver heavy, and trust me, I hate drafting running backs. I will draft wide receivers 10 times out of 10. But Ramondre is like one of the few guys that I feel very good about as an anchor in that third round, where wide receivers are kind of, the difference-making ones outside of, the first 2 rounds. They're kind of scarce because you get into the tier breaks of DK Metcalf and then going on to the Keenan Allens, Amari Coopers. Being able to find someone worth a third-round pick is kind of hard when someone else takes Mark Andrews. So Ramondre seems to be the guy that I've fallen into the most exposure with, and I'm very happy. I think that the Patriots are going to be able to just kind of run the tires off them, and you get the receiving upside too.
I want to show everybody you put your money where I keep saying that phrase, but look, like you said, no running backs, and you followed up Cooper Kupp, Amani St. Brown, Devonta Smith. So there you are, backing up to a little TJ Hawkinson action now too. So backing up what you said with the running back position, true to his word, as they say. Whoops. True to their word. I grabbed the wrong thing out of there. All right, Meg, how about you? Give me a guy you like in tier 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a case for multiple of them, but I'm in lockstep with Davis. To his point, our guy Felix Castor won the DraftKings Millie Maker 2 years ago with Najee's been his guy. He's gone way overweight on him. People give him a hard time about it. Najee's polarizing. People either seem to like be all in on him or way out and just want to draft all the Jaylen Warren. And, to me, I think it could be a little bit of both. They both can be, very talented running backs that the Steelers have. But Najee's their workhorse. Like David said, he's going to get the touches. He's going to get the high value touches. He's also going to be used in the passing game. I think people are scared about how much Warren might be used in the passing game. I'm not concerned about that. Again, he looked much healthier in the second half of last season. And again, like David said, they upgraded the offensive line. That was a weakness. They brought in essentially 2 new starters. And I think it beefed up the depth of the offensive line as well. So I think that's a huge, huge win for the Steelers offense as a whole, but especially Najee people are always concerned about his efficiency. Hopefully he's able to show that efficiency along with the opportunity with this offensive line. And another year with, Pickett and everything. So I'm very high on Najee as well and trying to get a pretty high exposure to him.
Nice. Jordan, what say you? You got a guy you like in tier 3?
I feel like we got to give some credit to Jahmyr Gibbs, who is my guy here. And we didn't even spell his name right on the card. Anyway, to my boy Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to plug right into the DeAndre Swift role. I think he's going to have really, really big spike weeks. They obviously added David Montgomery. I don't know if they'll give him a full workload or anything like that. But this is a guy I think who could catch 70 to 80 passes this season. In that tier of running backs, I'm all about him. And in fact, in our draft, Justin just sniped him. I was going to try to get Breece Hall and then him back on the other side of the turn, and Justin took him right out from under me. So
I think when's all said and done, I think Najee, to me, out of this group, has the biggest potential to go top 5. So he's the reason that's my guy anyway. Justin, how about you? Give me a guy you like in here.
Well, I think it's downright disrespectful that Josh Jacobs is even in this tier. I think he's proven that he deserves to be in that tier 2 for sure. But I won't hold that against you, Commish. You're just the messenger for PFF over there. But if I was to talk about somebody, be a Ramondre Stevenson, because this is a guy who's just on the rise. We want to talk about the top tier guys. What separates them is their ability to just absolutely be a baller anytime they get a chance to. And that's the definition of what Ramondre Stevenson does. This is a guy who did it just about purely on yards last year. And that's a scary part. He really did not get a lot of touchdowns. And we're over here going like, wait, what? You did that purely off? I think he had like 1,900 total scrimmage yards. You did that purely off of yards? Come on now. So I'm looking at this as this guy could have a positive touchdown regression and etch his name into that tier 2 this year. Him and Josh Jacobs are very underrated. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take their line straight to tier 2 as well. I think those 3 guys, they don't belong here. The rest of them do.
Nick, how about you? Nick?
Nicholas Macaronis.
Nick Macaronis. He's like,
Yes.
Yes, you ready?
I didn't hear it because this crap. Are you asking for my tier 3?
Yes, sir.
That effing sports show took my guy. That was Aaron Jones.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. Duly noted. Let's go to tier number 4. My bad, I wasn't prepared. Those guys in the booth, by the way, got the name spelled wrong. Like, what's going on? I need to be fired.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Dameon Pierce, Rashad White, James Conner, Alexander Madison, Javonte Williams, and David Montgomery. So that is our tier 4 list. Let's start. Nick, we'll start with you. We started last time. Give me somebody out of tier 4.
Oh, tier 4 is going to be one of my sentimental favorite guys. Not only because he went to Penn State, not only because he was a former Eagle, but just because he is awesome, I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. Weeks 1 through 4, he was sixth, averaged 14 points per game. Weeks 5 through 9, he was out in the weeds somewhere. I don't know what he was doing, splitting time. He had 12 points per game, and then he finished up weeks 10 through 17 with 13 points 11 points per game. But here's the thing: now he's in Carolina. He's not in such of a timeshare split with two other guys. Frank Reich and Deuce Staley came out and said he's going to be 3 down back. And he's going to get. And last time he was with Frank Reich, he caught 50 passes. So I think this is going to be a resurgence. He just came off a career year last season, and for them to boot him just because they couldn't get him positive yards in the Super Bowl, to me, that's an offensive line problem and an offensive coordinator problem, not a Miles Sanders problem, because he did it the whole season. So I think he is going to do really well this season. He could have a 1,200-yard season this year and maybe 10 total touchdowns, but that's why he is in my tier 4.
All right, I like it. Listen, you're on the clock, by the way. Perfect opportunity to take Miles Sanders and back it up when you're talking about that. Jordan, what say you? Give me a guy like a tier 4.
That's fine. I got options.
I think people are too low on Dameon Pierce. Kid missed 4 games last season, played really bad in 2 others. But other than that, he was pretty much money all season. Had the most or led the league in missed tackles forced per attempt. Has a little bit of competition in Singletary, but I don't know anybody who thinks Singletary is actually good at football. So with that being said, I mean, the Houston Texans just don't have a whole lot going for them. So, I mean, in this range of running backs, I think he's worth a shot at least.
Meg, what do you say? What do you got? What guy do you like in tier 4?
I really like both calls with Sanders and Pierce, but my guy in tier 4 is Kenneth Walker. I think he's been, kind of disrespected by the market with the drafting of Zach Charbonnet. I was so surprised. I felt like the market kind of overreacted to that. And, to me, getting Kenneth Walker in the 5th round of best ball drafts is a steal to me. And I'm trying to take as much as I can in that range, because this guy is very explosive. I was looking at his player profiler, number 3 in red zone touches, number 3 in breakaway runs, number 10 in evaded tackles. He's just very explosive and has the opportunity. I think Charbonnet could be used more as like that 3rd down back, maybe. I think Pete Carroll likes to have multiple backs in the stable, but I think Kenneth Walker is still the guy. Why wouldn't he be after the season he had last year? So Kenneth Walker is my guy in this range.
Kevin, what do you say?
Can I just say I don't like anybody in tier 4, if I'm being honest?
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy that I would maybe consider just because of cost is like James Conner. But yeah, I'm not in on Kenneth Walker. I think the writing was kind of on the wall going back to the well in the 2nd round with Zach Charbonnet. Ken Walker, you're really hoping for the J.K. Dobbins kind of breakaway 2-down role with him. So like James Conner, like the only guy that can maybe rival guys like Dameon Pierce and Derrick Henry as far as rush attempt share in their offense would be James Conner. Although Arizona could absolutely blow everything up and just kind of play for Caleb Williams at this point. But, I don't mind James Conner just because we know he's going to be out there to pass. The dude's going to be out there on at least 80% of snaps. I don't think Keontae Ingram or, Marlon Mack. I think those dusty kind of running backs, I don't think they're going to be any kind of threat to James Conner's workload. So, and James Conner's like the cheapest of all those guys too. So I'd rather at least be more price sensitive and take a guy like him. I do like Javonte Williams a little bit. Obviously, the full-on knee tear is worrisome too, but we're getting all the good reports on him, and whether we might not get week 1 Javonte, but if we get like week 4, week 5 Javonte, and then hope for the late season upside, I think you got something there. But like all these running backs, they're just such big warts there, and they go in a really, really weird ADP where I would rather be taking wide receivers, tight end, maybe a quarterback there versus a lot of these just damning profiles of the running backs.
Davis, how about you? You got a guy in tier 4 you like?
Well, I'm wearing the shirt. I was gonna say Connor, but I think Kevin did it so well. I'm just gonna go to pivot to somewhere else. But I will add that I don't know why anyone is afraid of Keontae Ingram. I think he has like the weirdest stat I've seen. It's like 5 targets for 3 receptions and a yard. That's like, he wasn't good. Like I have no fear that James Conner is, as Kevin said, got to be on their field like 80% of the time. But I'm gonna pivot to J.K. Dobbins. Originally priced at like pick 50 range. He's probably going to 60s, even 70s in some of the best ball thing. I get it. He's missed a couple seasons. He's injured, an ACL tear that didn't heal well. But like when push came to shove, when he shows up, he's good, right? Like we talked about earlier, like Derrick Henry, Bijan facing like top, or Derrick Henry and the Falcons facing like top 8 in the box. After them, it's J.K. Dobbins, right? 8-man in the box. It was J.K. Dobbins because once again, they have no receivers on that team. They all got hurt last year. They ran out with DeMarcus Robinson and guys like Devin Duvernay. Like no one cares, right? Mark Andrews was hurt, the Isaiah Likely, and they
not in on the James Prochet.
Yeah, and then they had a backup quarterback, and then Dobbins goes out there in the playoff game, and they're like, "Hey, man, run the ball, win us some games," and he did. He did extremely well. Beats yards over expected. Played behind against a bad line. Like J.K. Dobbins can get disrespected, and I get it. We're scared, the contract situation, but this is different than Jonathan Taylor. This isn't Kyle Shanahan saying, "I don't know who's going to live till next Sunday," right? Like. J.K. Dobbins is going to be fine. He's going to get some type of contract that's like 2-year, 3. He's going to get some type of small contract. They're going to give it to him. I feel like he thinks he's owed something because he came off an ACL tear. Hey, yeah, it sucks. But this is the type of situation where you can get a guy at pick 70 that can rival literally anybody else, and he's sharing with like Gus Bus, who is not healthy either, and Melvin Gordon. Like I'm not afraid of Melvin Gordon. Maybe Gus Edwards to an extent. He's another guy I take a lot of, but efficiency numbers have shown that when Gus and Dobbins were together, they handed the ball to the guy coming off the ACL tear. Like that was injured longer. They trust Dobbins. I'm gonna go with him. He's going pretty nice. So I got to quite a bit of him.
All right, Chris, what say you on tier 4?
Well, I don't think there's a lot to say. My initial thought was the same as Kevin's, like, can I not take any of these guys? But I've heard good points about Miles Sanders, and Dameon Pierce was the guy that jumped out at me once I said, well, if I got to pick one, it goes with the quarterback thing that I alluded to earlier. You've got a quarterback who's not solid, who's not the guy in the league. He's not one of these elite talents, still trying to prove himself. You're going to fall to your back. Dameon Pierce, I think, is a proven runner. I do believe he is underestimated. He plays for Houston, so I get it. And so Miles Sanders, I feel Miles Sanders is going to do very well this year because of the situation he's in, and he's a proven runner. So if I have to pick somebody, yeah, it's going to be Sanders and Pierce in that one.
All right, Justin, finish this off with tier 4. Is there a guy in there we haven't heard yet?
All right, we're still not going. Yeah. So here's the guy that I got for you. It's going to be Rachaad White. And I agree with Kevin and I agree with Chris on this is like the car salesman trying to sell you the beater cars in the back over there saying it's still got another 50,000 miles, I promise. You don't want to overpay on those cars because they're a lemon for a reason. They're sour and they're going to sour on you real quick. But listen, best ball, that's the perfect time to go grab these guys. These guys are a workload waiting to happen, and they're one screw loose from ending their careers. So go out there, let their teams run them into the ground, and just collect the fantasy points. Now, Rachaad White, why do I like Rachaad White? Because he filled in last year for and, for the limited exposure that he had, he still walked away with 50 receptions, which is like mind-boggling to me. I was just like, I didn't know that the Bucs offense was that efficient with getting the ball to him last year. But I guess that they figured out that Leonard Fournette was, an old junker way before everybody else did. And so when I look at this, I look at how can I get complete efficiency out of somebody? I want the rushing. I want the passes. I want the receptions. I want everything. Rachaad White is in the best position for that because he's got no competition. I mean, a lot of people want to push Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker was a nice story in college, but guess what? I don't think he's taking that position. If they really wanted to bring somebody in, they would have tried to get Kareem Hunt or even try and bring back Lenny, playoff Lenny. So I think this is his offense. I think that they're going to run him into the ground and draft somebody later. But until then, for this one best ball season, I am going to go ahead and draft Rachaad White as like my RB3 or 4 because I'm going to be so happy when he has that 9 reception game for 13 yards and a touchdown because it's going to feel so great. You're going to be like, yeah, he got a touchdown. He got 18 points and he did absolutely nothing out there.
I think in this tier, Javonte Williams is my guy in this tier only because Sean Payton in this new offense. And I think this is when, like you talked about, taking risks. Due to that injury, there's no bigger risk in taking somebody like Javonte, but like he's got a huge upside if this offense potentially clicks like it's supposed to. But we'll see about that. All right, we're going to finish things up in our final tiers, I should say. This is when we find our sleepers. I forgot my little fun My Guys transition earlier, but whatever. I made it up with the sleeper guys. All right, here we go with tiers, the final tiers. Hope you're not asleep yet. We're going to give you some sleepers to go to sleep with. RB tier 5, Dalvin Cook, Pacheco, DeAndre Swift. You know what? While I have these up, let's just go around so I don't have to read them all off. I'll go around the room right quick. Let's go. Meg, I'll start with you on this. Give me a guy you like in one of these tiers, tier 5, and I'll throw up tier 6 here in a second.
Can I pull a Kevin? Who's
Meg.
Oh. Yeah, tier 5 for me. I'll stick with the Washington. I'm a Washington fan, and I really think Brian Robinson will be the 2-down base back and have that strong role and have a lot of goal line opportunities and high value touches near the end zone. So give me Brian Robinson. Last year he was coming off a very tragic getting shot before the season. Let's see a full year removed. And getting fully going into a full healthy off season. And he's going so late in best ball drafts that you can get such value. I want to say, in the early 100s. I love taking Brian Robinson there.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go. Davis, give me a sleeper here with tier 5 or 6.
Coop, you're on the clock.
So mine is weirdly enough going to be the B-Robs. So Meg, I understand what you're getting at. In a little bit of AJ Dillon, but let's go with B-Rob. So Brian Robinson, I wrote a whole piece about this on a thread joking about like Ron Rivera and Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson's role. And I vividly remember someone saying, there's no way in hell Brian Robinson will get 200 touches. The man gets shot like 3 times in the legs, runs 220 touches while missing 4 games. So if that doesn't like implicate that this guy has a role, I don't know what will. He's David Montgomery, but like 4 rounds later. He's not a guy that you have to like. We get it. He's not the most talented, not the fastest, but he's going to get 20, 30, 40 receptions on the season. He's going to get 15 up the guts, and he falls forward, and he's 220 pounds. Like that's exactly what you want, and he costs you nothing. And like fun stat for best ball, especially in half PPR. I know Hayden and Sam Sherman from the Ship Chasing pointed out like 50-ish% of the time, more. That's about 10% more than the wide receivers hit your flex or running backs. And it's because people like Brian Robinson want their ways into like these touchdowns once a week. I went 20 touches for 60 yards and a touchdown. I'm in your flex. So, and RBs are hard to replace. So, like, signing for Brian Robinson, he's the guy I'm taking a lot, especially in best ball. And a lot of these guys kind of fit that category. But, we may not like them, but at the end of the day, like, they just plot their ways into the end zone.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, Chris, how about you? Give me a sleeper out of the list here.
Give me another one for Robinson. I mean, you look at that list. I mean, it's we're all saying it for a reason. The guy has a nice. You'd like a bigger sample size, but I said it the whole show. Weak quarterback, maybe the weakest quarterback in the entire league. Guy's gonna get carries. He's big. He's there for a reason. Go ahead. Because I'm not even going to try and make up something else for somebody else. Robinson's the guy in that group. He's the guy in that group. He just
says Mike drop. That's all I got left.
Yeah.
Kevin, what say you? Give me a sleeper out of that group.
Well, since we're apparently the Brian Robinson Appreciation Society, I will just add that he did see the 8th highest rate of 8+ defenders in the box. Still averaged like 3.9 yards per carry, and the dude got shot. So as long as he doesn't get shot between now and week 1, I think he's pretty much good to go. So I do like him in that range. I will pivot off to somebody else and say Jaylen Warren. I'm sorry, Davis. I do hate Najee Harris with a burning passion that fuels 1,000 suns, just because we've seen these first-round running backs get a little bit of a leash the first couple of years. But now we're going into year 3 of Najee Harris. If he is still woefully inefficient with offensive line upgrades and with how highly efficient Jaylen Warren was, especially in the yards per route run, I mean, we could be seeing, kind of a ships passing in the night with Najee Harris. It's going to be impossible to keep Jaylen Warren off the field if he is as efficient and Najee Harris is this bad. So I think we're going to see a kind of Tony Pollard-esque roll out of Jaylen Warren this year. I mean, we're talking a bigger back that at least has receiving chops and if he could siphon off even some of the goal line workload, I think he has the biggest, one of the biggest contingent value running backs in this tier. So I'm going to go Jaylen Warren here. I do think he gets a Tony Pollard-esque role from what we've seen, kind of like a 2020 to 2021, where we were hoping it would be the Tony Pollard year, really didn't get it, and obviously we got that last year. I think we can get that this year from Warren.
Kevin digging out a deep nugget for sure. Justin, what say you, my friend?
Well, when it comes to tier 5, I was actually happier to see those guys than I was tier 4. So I think we need to switch that up a little bit. I don't know, guys. I was not for Alvin Kamara, but guess what? Only 3 games. I mean, I said it on the Friday show. Running backs generally miss 3 games as it is. So you're just telling me that he's going to miss them and be healthy for those 3 games? I'll buy in. And I'm the same with James Cook. 2 guys that are going to be PPR machines for their team, going to be a lot of the offense, and Kamara's going to be the number 1 option for most weeks if Michael Thomas continues his streak of being injured all the time. And then James Cook, who has a good chance to be the number 2 or 3 option in this offense. And this offense is high volume on the passing game. So why not go out and grab somebody like that? I think a lot of people are afraid of James Cook because he's not quite Dalvin Cook, but that doesn't mean that he's not good. That just means that he's going to ascend a little bit differently, and maybe he never ascends to what Dalvin was, but if he's half of what Dalvin was, he's at least worth that 10th round pick.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Jordan, what say you?
This is the money round. Like, I love at least half of these guys. My teams are going to be littered with these running backs. I will stick to one, though. Probably the least sexy name on the list, but man, I cannot quit Jerick McKinnon. He is going to be catching all the passes out of the backfield in Kansas City. I want every ounce of that I can get. And I'm going to tell you, he's the guy that's going to shit the bed at least half of the year. But in best ball, I don't have to worry about any of that. Give me all the Jerick McKinnon.
And he's one of those playmakers, and once he gets hot, he gets steamy for sure. I love it. Nick, what say you? Finish this off.
I did not hear because of all the skipping. Did anyone say Isaiah Pacheco yet?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick Pacheco. First 4 weeks he was 5 points a game, and then 5 through 9 he was on a milk carton somewhere. I don't know who the hell he was. I think the Chiefs were trying to figure out if it was him or Hilaire that they wanted to run the ball. He had 1.8 points per game, but then he bounced back and had 10 the rest of the way. This year, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think this year he is the guy. I think Hilaire is going to be relegated to a third down back and sit over there until we need you. And then Pacheco's going to catch passes out of the backfield. So I'm going to go with Pacheco. Plus that he's highly motivated.
I'm going to bring up somebody I brought up last year that I thought was going to do it, but I think this year, I think this is going to be his time. A.J. Dillon. We don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, always constantly throwing the football. It's possible now as it gets a little snowy and the weather starts to change, that Captain Thunder Thighs might start taking over some football games down the stretch. So I'm just going to bring that up there. We brought him up last year. He didn't quite come to fruition, but possibly this year could be the guy, A.J. Dillon. And I already brought up Swift earlier. Again, very injury prone, but again, he's big play. So take the risk because once he hits those big plays, it's big points for your roster. All right, let's go around the room. Meg, ladies first. Where can we follow, subscribe, and get all your great content?
Absolutely. Fanspeak.com. Best ball content is free. And the Fanspeak Network on YouTube. I also do contribute over at Run Pure Sports. And of course, follow me on Twitter at Megs08DFS.
Awesome. Make sure you follow, subscribe, get all her great content. Kevin, how about you, my friend? Where can we get all your great stuff?
Find me at K Tompkins I on Twitter. Do great work with Fantasy Alarm. Also do Lightning Round podcast with Andrew Cooper and Britt Flynn every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Going to be drafting a Best Ball Mania 4 team tomorrow, so check that out. Other than that, find me at the Expo starting on Thursday.
Nice. All right. Well, we will definitely check you out. Indeed. Come hang out with the boys. Davis, how about you, my friend? Where can we follow, subscribe, get all your great content?
You can find me at Pings Picks on Twitter, or X. What is it? I don't even know. It's Meta. What do we call these things these days? Who knows? You can find me on there. Fantasy6pack.net is the website mostly right for. And then, yeah, that's basically it. I do a show on Tuesday and Thursday. It's called The Road to 150 with Hope Bishop, the half mitten champion. If you need to learn your playoff best ball in the future, go check us out there. Drafting, God, too many teams. 600 teams this season. So follow the journey, see what it's like. See when I lose in week 15.
Isn't that everyone's story? I love it. All right, Davis, go make sure you follow, subscribe, get all his great content. Indeed. Chris, how about you? You're already home, but where can we follow, subscribe, and get your great stuff?
At That Effin' Sports Show. You can use at That Effin' Show on YouTube. Myself and Adam Holz broke down every team. We went week by week, game by game. We already know what the records are going to be. Head over there if you're curious to see how everyone's going to finish this season. That Effin' Sports Show on YouTube. You can find us on the old Twitter X machine at the same handle, That Effin' Sports Show, at That Effin' Show. And, of course, you can find us at the Fantasy Sports Core. Go out to the Expo. Come find us. We're going to be freaking everywhere. You'll find everywhere you go, you're going to find a Fantasy Sports Core person. I shall be among them. Proud to be there. I'm just really excited for this Fantasy Expo. It's my first run at it. I know some of you guys have been there before, and you guys have just kept my mouth salivating about it for months now. So I'm ready to get this thing going.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't embarrass ourselves on the flag football field. That's really my only concern right now. I'm being honest.
It won't happen.
All right. I'm already out of breath. All right. So listen, we appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all joining us tonight. We are out for tonight. Don't forget, check us out on Friday. We're going to be live at Canton. We're doing that best ball draft. I brought it up here a few times. We're going to grade those teams Friday at the Potty House, I guess, if you want to call it, for us in our 40s, a party house. We'll be doing that at Friday at Canton, so make sure you check us out then. All right, guys, well, we appreciate you. Appreciate all of you for joining us. Good luck this season, and we are out.